My name is Jessica Swift, and I am a curriculum specialist with Mountain Desert Career Pathways. Mountain Desert Career Pathways works closely with our local school districts, community colleges, industry leaders to support career technical education in our community. On behalf of MDCP, I'd like to welcome each of you here today. We have a lot of exciting information to share with you, but before we get started, I'd like to review a few housekeeping items with you. Today, our presentation will be recorded and later posted on the MDCP website for you to review and share with your students if you so choose to. I will be monitoring the chat, so feel free to send me as many messages as you would like. If you have any questions, type them in the chat as often as you would like as well. Students, there is not this time. Are there any questions before I get started? Today is the final portion of our three-part series of college and career essential skills. It is my honor to introduce Mrs. Moreno, who is currently a work experience educator in the high desert. Prior to her educational career, Mrs. Moreno had over 6 years in human resource. Mrs. Moreno will be taking us through the importance of essential skills. In addition to Mr. Moreno, we have 3 industry representatives here today to give us the insider scoop on what they like to see in an employee. I want to thank our industry leaders for being here with us today, as they bring true value to our students, being able to hear directly from them. First, I'd like to introduce Jessica Bell, who is our Senior Technical Project Manager at PG&E. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kevin Smiley, who is the manager of Victorville Motors. Welcome,
hello.
Kevin. And last but certainly not least, we have Jeff Dunnigan, who is an operation manager for General Atomics.
Hi, everyone.
All righty. Take it away, Ms. Moreno.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to give this presentation today because I honestly feel this is the best information that we can give young adults as they begin that next step into the workforce. So we're going to jump right in, and here we go. So what is it that employers are looking for in a good employee? MDCP did an amazing thing. They reached out to over 125 local employers, business owners, managers, supervisors, and they said, hey, we have amazing students, but we want them to transition into amazing employees. What is it that we can teach our students that will make them be exceptional when they go into the workforce? And so these amazing people, they came back and they said, yes, we want to help you. This is what you can teach your kids and they will be successful. So we kind of narrowed it down to 6 different categories here. And so we're going to go through them real quick. Collaboration, communication, critical thinking, ethical behavior, work environment, and work ethic. So you guys have all heard these things before, but maybe you guys haven't really thought about how these really take place in the workforce. So I'm going to go through these really quick because what I really want you guys to be able to do is speak to these people that are in industry, that are doing the hiring, that are observing the employees. And I want you guys to really think about questions that you have for them regarding these different topics. So as I go through them, please write your questions in the chat to Ms. Swift, write them down for yourselves so you can unmute and ask them at the end when we have questions, because this is really an amazing opportunity for you guys to ask the people that are really making these decisions. So I'm going to start out with, I love cheesy videos, you guys, so I apologize right now. But this is one of my favorite little videos about my favorite saying, which is teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, come on, everyone. Time schedule. You know what's gotta be done. Move it, move it, move it. Hey, you there, pick up the pace. You're falling behind. Come on, let's go. Everyone, move together. We got a threat to our hands. You there. Here we go.
what you guys just saw is collaboration. It's working together effectively as a team to accomplish a goal. In those scenarios, they would have been in deep trouble if they wouldn't have all come together to achieve that common goal. And that's collaboration. Participate fully in the assigned tasks and share in the responsibility. So you guys have all been a part of that high school group project, and you fall into one or two categories in that high school group project. You're either the person that does all the work, or you're the person that kind of sits back and lets the other people do all the work. You might have been able, if you're that person, you might have been able to get away with that in high school, but you're not going to be able to get away with that in the workplace. Employers are watching, employers are paying attention. And if you're that person, I can guarantee you, you're not going to keep your job for very long. Be professional, respectful, polite, kind, and courteous when interacting with coworkers. This is so important. It seems very basic. These are all the things that we learned from kindergarten and elementary school, but unfortunately, we don't always put these into practice. And in the workplace, this is essential. If conflicts arise, you are expected to resolve conflicts for the benefit of the team. You might not always get along with everybody that you work with. You might not be best friends with them, but you have to always maintain that professional, respectful, and courteous demeanor with them. So that's a little bit on collaboration, which brings us to effective communication. This one's my favorite, honestly, because it's something that we deal with teenagers all the time. And so what you say and how you look when you're saying it matters. You're expected to understand and demonstrate the importance of body language. So I'm at home right now doing distance learning with my 3 teenage sons. And this is something that we're working on, because just the other day we were having a conversation and they all said fine, but they said it very differently. One said fine and one said fine. They both said the same thing, but it wasn't what they said, it was how they said it. And you guys have to think about that when you guys are in the workplace. Tone is so important. You might be saying thank you, but not really communicating that with the way that you're saying it. So please be aware of that. Listen carefully and seek to understand instructions, directives, suggestions, coaching. Don't be afraid to ask questions. This is something that young workers really struggle with. When it's their first time going into the workplace, I think they're very intimidated. I think that you're afraid to ask questions. You don't want your employer, your supervisor to think that you're incompetent, or you don't know what you're doing, or you didn't understand the directions. And I want to make this so clear to you guys. It is okay to ask questions. They want you to ask questions. They don't want you to not fully understand something and go and do it the wrong way. They're going to be much more upset that you go off and you do it the wrong way than asking questions. Ask questions multiple times. If you still don't understand it, make sure that you get that clear confirmation. I am the queen of questions, and maybe sometimes I'm annoying, but I can guarantee you I'm going to fully understand what it is that I need to do, and I'm going to be successful completing it. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. Speak in a coherent and professional manner to convey ideas, questions, and information. Communicate clearly and concisely in writing, which includes text, emails, documents, and reports. Avoid using text speak, and always proofread for accuracy and tone. Over the past year, we've lost a lot of that personal interaction, that personal connection, and how we've stayed connected is through our social media and texting. And so we've gotten used to speaking a certain way and communicating a certain way. And we've got to switch that up. We've got to get back into our professional mindset and make sure that when we're sending anything, written communication, that we're doing it still in a professional manner. Be able to represent ideas or concepts visually, which may include flowcharts, sketches, presentations. Know your audience, know who you're talking to. So you guys, effective communication, people usually think, oh, how you talk to somebody. But I want to make it very clear that effective communication is those three things. It's how you speak, it's how you write, and it's also visually, how you represent things visually. So it's not just, what you say, it's also those other areas as well. So I got another cheesy video for you. I have students talk to me like this all the time, and I always have to ask for clarification.
Hi, HRU.
What?
WC, QQ, WOYT.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
ROTFLOL, JK, FDOJ. What you got?
Oh, tuna and coffee.
GGMSOT, $5.95. Hi, MIHU.
What?
YGTBKM, WOYT.
I have no idea what you're saying.
What you got there?
Oh, I've got 3 burgers, fries, chocolate shake, and ice cream.
Well, IMHO, that's just TMF. I mean, OMG, $11.95. May I have a word with you for a moment, Lydia? NP.
Lydia, you've got to stop speaking in text. The customers don't know what you're saying, and they've been complaining. I mean, do you always talk like this?
IDK.
What?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I do. UTITM. You think it's too much?
Yeah, I do. I mean, communication skills are essential for this job, for any job. It's the top of the must-have list for every employer. And I'm your employer. To make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Hi, HRU. I'm sorry. May I help you?
Yes, I have my chips.
Good communication skills are important for everyone. You need skills for both communicating information to others and receiving information from others. If you and your employer communicate well with each other, you'll have a much better chance of keeping your job and maybe even getting a promotion.
All right, you guys heard it there. Communication is essential. And again, it's not what we say, it's how we say it. So that brings us to number 3, critical thinking, problem solving. So solve problems, including offering creative and innovative solutions and communicate those concepts effectively. So again, we've got that communication piece. Think ahead and plan appropriately. Use time, resources, and materials efficiently. Think about what it is that you're doing. Reflect on the process and procedures, and make appropriate recommendations to improve them. But be open-minded to other suggestions. There's always more than one way to solve a problem. So I just read a bunch of things. You guys are probably completely tuned out and are like, oh, I still don't really understand what critical thinking is. So I'm going to have Will Smith explain it to you guys.
We have a question. Yeah, I'm sorry, maybe you already answered this, but why exactly are we here?
Sean, we're here because you're looking for the best of the best of the best.
Let's get going.
Will you get down on this?
All right, so what you guys just saw there, that's critical thinking. When we start the clip, the one guy stands up and he's, we're the best of the best of the best. And yet when given a task of simply filling out a paper, they all fail. They all open it and they start trying to figure out a way to write on it, and they're tearing through their paper and they're not being efficient or effective. And then you got Will Smith, who he sees a problem, he sees a table, he sees a way to fix it, he drags it over, and he's able to use his critical thinking to resolve the problem. And that's what you guys need to do when you guys are at work. Look at scenarios, look at situations, and come up with the best most efficient way to deal with them. So that's critical thinking. Brings us to number 4, ethical behavior. Your character, integrity, and honesty are essential to your success and career. Respect yourself and others. Respect the company's property and image at all times. Be aware of your digital footprint and how it affects you and your employer. What you post online will haunt you. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. This just happened. When my students have a change in job, one of the first things that they have to do is they have to notify me. So I received an email the other day. We'll call him Billy. Billy emailed me and he said, "Hey, Miss Miranda, I'm no longer working at such and such." And so I immediately contacted him and said, "Hey, what's going on? What happened? Did you get another job?" And he's like, "No, they let me go." He didn't really want to answer questions, and I understood that and I respected that. But with my job, I know all of your employers. So I called his manager right away and I said, "Hey, Billy just told me that he's not working there anymore. Is everything okay? Is there something that I can help him with? What's going on?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Here's the situation. Friday and Saturday nights are our busiest nights. We're already super short staffed because of COVID. And about 20 minutes before his shift, Billy calls and lets me know that he's sick and he's not going to be able to make it in." He goes, "It sent us scrambling. I had to keep people that were working over. I had to try to call somebody else in to cover. And it just, it really just messed up the whole night. It took the manager away from what he was doing because he was trying to coordinate all of this. And the person that they called in was on their lunch break and was doing what a lot of us do on our breaks. It was scrolling through social media. And what did he see? He saw Billy. Billy was not sick. Billy was at a party. And he went and he took it to the manager and he showed the manager. And so the manager said, "We've had situations like this in the past where he's called in kind of last minute. We've seen a pattern on Fridays and Saturdays. But now with this picture, with this video, now we know exactly, what he was doing, that he wasn't sick." And so we decided that we needed to part ways. I said, "I completely understand. I'm going to make sure that I discuss this with my class." Unfortunately, you guys, this isn't the first time that I've had to discuss this with my students because this has happened many, many times. So you guys, first of all, ethically, he shouldn't have called in sick when he wasn't sick. But secondly, he definitely should not have posted it on social media. So be aware of that. Respect confidentiality. If any of you guys are members of a medical CTE program, this is super important. You guys have HIPAA laws that you guys have to abide by. And so confidentiality, the things that you see and hear at work, they really need to stay at work. It's not other people's right to that information. Adhere to discrimination and harassment laws and policies, and always exercise good judgment when determining your next step. So these are just some things as far as ethical behavior, and it really is so, so important in the workplace. That's going to bring us to number 5, work environment. Follow all standard operating procedures, rules, and regulations. Work in a safe and professional manner. Be able to work under pressure, which includes meeting deadlines and productivity expectations. And in high school, again, this is one that you guys can kind of get away with. Oh, can I turn it in late? Can I just take a little less credit on it? And teachers are usually pretty flexible about that, but that cannot happen in the workplace. Take constructive criticism, be coachable, and continually learn your trade. Be really honest with you guys. This is something that as a young worker that I struggled with. Whenever my employer would come to me with what I thought was just criticism, I completely got defensive. I thought they were coming for me. I thought that they didn't like me. I thought that they were attacking me. I created these crazy scenarios in my head. And what I've learned as time has gone on is none of that was true. They were trying to help me. They know how the job needs to be done. And they were trying to give me the tools to be effective. And when I finally let that nastiness go that I created in my head, that's when I started to become a really great employee. So don't take that constructive criticism as a bad thing. They're there to help you. They want you to succeed. Be able to adapt to a variety of situations and tasks. Demonstrate flexibility when things change. You guys have done this. Because we are coming up on a year that COVID has hit. March 13th was the day that they sent us home from school. And so we're almost a full year. And you guys have demonstrated that you guys are able to adapt, that you are able to successfully adapt. And so this is something that I think is wonderful and you should all be really commended for. Be able to read and interpret operating manuals and technical instructions. Demonstrate an appreciation of the company's investment in the resources, equipment, assets, and training for you to be able to perform your job. Care properly for the tools, equipment, and property. You guys are going to be given tools to do your job. It may be, if you're a mechanic, it may be actual tools. If you are in an office, it may be a computer, a forklift, there are all sorts of different things. Make sure you guys are respecting those things, taking care of those things. They cost money. They're an investment in the business. And if you don't treat those right, if you aren't respectful of those things, your employers are going to see that. And that's going to be a direct reflection on you. That brings us to our sixth and final one. And then we're going to turn it over to our great industry professionals here. Work ethic. Be dependable, you guys. Ready to work at the assigned time each day and stay on task. Texting, cell phones, and other personal business during your work time is not acceptable. My husband has worked for a Costco corporation for over 25 years. And this is one that he comes back to me all the time when they've hired young employees. And he says they never get off their phone. He was, I give them a task. I go, to do something else to go help another employee. And I come back around and instead of doing what they need to be doing, they're texting, they're checking their social media. He told me a funny story. Someone was supposed to be stocking the freezer cooler with the frozen products, and they were taking a really long time. So he went in there to see if he could help them, and he walked in on them taking a selfie. Okay, that is not okay. I know that teenagers, that this is our form of communication. This is how you guys stay connected. You guys have FOMO, fear of missing out, and you don't want to miss out even when you guys are at work. But they're not paying you to be on the phone. They're paying you to do a task. And that's a really quick and easy way to lose your job. Manage your time and tasks appropriately. Continually learn your craft and exhibit curiosity. Ask questions to improve your ability. Self-assess your work and your skills so that you can improve. Be open to feedback for improvement. Take ownership of your tasks. Take responsibility and pride in your work. When things don't go as planned, exhibit adaptability and flexibility, which you guys have been doing. Have the courage to challenge others appropriately when you know you're right. Be able to maintain the appropriate physical, mental, and emotional stamina to perform your tasks and work as part of a team. Demonstrate leadership, perseverance, resilience, and confidence in yourself. Have pride in your work and your employer's brand and product. I know I'm reading a lot to you guys. I hate just reading from a slide, but I just really want you guys to hear these things, and hopefully you guys are taking it in. Here's a quick little video on work ethic.
You cannot erase the work ethic part. There is no getting around. Ain't no elevator to the top. You got to take the stairs. The elevator don't go to the top, man. Not in the world of success. You got to take the stairs. Y'all got to start getting gritty, man. I hate it when I see young people wasting their time, wasting all this technology you got, just sitting around in this world that's been created for you, that everything is instant. But if you can combine your technology with your parents, and your grandparents' work ethic, you could be rich, man.
Just ask yourself this week, do people know you for your work ethic? Are people like, man, you work hard? Are people actually commenting about you showing up early and staying late? Because if they're not, you're just blending in with everybody else's work ethic. At the end of the day, talent will not win the game. It is work ethic that will win the game.
All right. So that brings us to the end of our 6 essential skills. But I want to go one further with you guys. You guys have all demonstrated, some of you guys, I recognize some names in here. Some of you guys have been to all 3 of our presentations. And that tells me that you want to invest in your future. You want to get a job and you want to be successful in that job. And so I want to challenge you guys to go one step further. And there's a book, super easy read. It's not a long book, and it's called The Fred Factor. And it's how one man showed his passion in his work, and it just transformed him from being an ordinary worker to an extraordinary worker. And this book is actually life-changing. Mrs. Swift and I have both discussed this book before, and the amazing impact that it made on both of us. And so I want to show you my last cheesy video. I promise, my last cheesy video. But I just want you guys to know that this is out there. You can purchase it on Amazon. It's $8. It's an easy read. It's wonderful. And actually, if any of you guys would like it, I would actually like you guys to go ahead and put your name in the chat, because I would like to purchase it for 5 of you guys. So if 5 of you guys would like it, I would be happy to purchase it for you guys, because I really do think that it's an exceptional, wonderful tool. And I'm going to show you this. Stop jabbering. I'm going to show you this little video real quick.
Have you ever wondered how the ordinary turns to extraordinary? Why some companies, some people make the leap to greatness and others seem stuck in the sand? The harsh reality is this: employers, but more importantly, the people you serve through the work you do, they don't buy average anymore. They don't desire ordinary. They are searching to buy and attach to something truly extraordinary. It feels overwhelming, right? The competition, the pressure to perform, and you desiring to make an impact, wanting to contribute, but not really knowing quite how to do it. What if I told you your answer could be found in, of all people, a mailman named Fred? Like many of us, Fred went to work every single day. And for the most part, Fred looked rather normal. But once you got to know him, it quickly became evident there was something different about this mailman. Specifically, the way he looked at his job. It was different, dare I say, better. His secret, he didn't view work as an obligation like most people. He viewed it as an opportunity. I'm not saying that in some fluffy pie in the sky way. What I'm saying is this mailman lived, worked, and related to people in a way that was refreshingly unique and completely authentic. You can too, my friend. You can learn and leverage 4 powerful principles of Fred's life to make your unique contribution, bring your lasting impact and amazing value to everyone you work with and walk through this life with. It's all in the New York Times bestselling book, The Fred Factor, and now The Fred Factor 2.0. We want you to be successful, significant, and truly effective. So let me encourage you to take action. Read the books, join the Fred Factor community today, but more importantly, join the movement of bringing meaningful and measurable value to the people you serve in your work and your life.
All right. So that brings us to the end. But I just want to hit on one more thing. I said that we had reached out, or MDCP had reached out to 125 different employers up here. But the names that you see on the screen here, these are corporations that are actually implementing these 6 things, these 6 essential skills that we just went over. These are local companies. These are amazing companies with amazing opportunities for you guys. And we are so lucky because we have Jessica Bales here today from PG&E who actually implements these things. And she can really give you some great insight on how these make exceptional employees. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stop talking, turn it over to the true professionals, and let's ask them some questions.
Well, before we go on and asking our questions, because we have several, thank you kids for putting those in the chat. I would like to give Jessica, if she could take a moment and share with us how PG&E have implemented essential skills within their company.
Thank you. I'm Jessica Bales, Senior Technical Project Manager here in Hinckley for Environmental Remediation Project. We have a program called the Hinckley Workforce Development Program. And we hire young adults from ages 18 to 24 that have zero work experience. And we implement the Essential Skills Program. We also offer OSHA certifications. We pay for all that. It's a 12-week program. So as I'm talking along, if you guys are interested in the program or if you're going to be 18 soon or graduating, drop your name in the Dropbox. I'll reach out to you and send you an email with the flyer as well of the program. But it's a paid work experience program. And the essential skills that Summer has described really is essential to any work environment, right? And so, going back to collaboration, that's key. Teamwork, we teach that in our program. If you can't work as a team, it really, you're not gonna be able to work for most corporations or most companies. Teamwork's essential to get things done, projects done in a timely manner, in an efficient manner. We can't have people kind of wandering on their own, doing their own thing. That might be something that, you might have done in high school, to yourself, but you really can't do that in the work environment, especially. And so we teach that to work as a team and to learn how to work well with others. Not saying that you're going to be best friends, but learning to work with others. Communication, right? Asking questions, as Summer mentioned, you have to ask questions. I love it when employees ask me questions because the more questions they ask, I know that they're truly trying to learn, right? Regardless of any mistakes they've made, right? If at least if they've, stopped and asked me, they might say something like this. Jessica, I know that you've already explained it to me, but I'm trying to get a better understanding how this works. Can you explain that to me? So stuff like that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that they're trying to learn to get better at what they're doing. So, and again, it's not stealing materials. We have a lot of expensive tools, right? And we have it all laid out. If I see stuff missing, I can't trust an individual. If I can't trust you, you're just not going to be, promoted to any of our contractors or referred out to any of our other projects that we have, right? So that, integrity is definitely key. Social media. We just had I had to fire someone based on their posting on social media. It's employers look at it. I mean, I look at that before I hire anyone. I look at their social media, and there's a lot of people that say, well, I can say whatever I want. Sure you can, but that doesn't stop an employer from looking at that, Googling that. It only takes me 5 seconds to Google someone and, take a look at their postings, that might make the whole decision for me. I have 50 resumes stacked up. If I have to vet, and especially in this job market, I don't have time to interview everyone. So I'm going to this, and if I see something that's amiss, I'm going to the next candidate. I'm not going to even bother calling. So, social media, etiquette, communication is definitely key. Um, Constructive criticism, that's an essential skill that we teach in our program as well. Um, you know, we don't expect people to be perfect. No one's perfect. I've been an employee for over 20 years. I still make mistakes, but you know, I appreciate constructive criticism, so that way I can be better, right? You have to think of it that way. You can't don't let it hurt your feelings, right? Person because I didn't do this task right. You know, constructive criticism is acknowledging, what, I can do better. And how do I, how can I do better at this, and maybe, Googling, taking a class, um, Googling YouTube, figure out how you can hone in on whatever skill that you need to do better. So those are the things that, we work on our program, and, we offer certification so that way they can build on their weaknesses. I'm taking ownership, again, that's one of the things that I truly value. If an employee comes up to me and said, what, I made a mistake, I did this wrong, and they approached, I mean, that's huge. That's huge. That means they're honest. That means if something happens, good or bad, they're going to tell me, and then I can trust them to work independently. I'm not having to worry about babysitting them. I feel that they're trustworthy, and I can promote them to other job opportunities, and I can refer them to other contractors. And that's what happens in our program is, once you're done with the 12 weeks, you get, I provide you a referral to, our contractors or other employers in the community. But one thing I do want to, indicate that the Essential Skills Program, hopefully in fall, we're partnering up with Barstow Community College. They are offering the Essential Skills Program embedded in 2 non-credit programs. One is their customer service program and their trade technician program. Both of them are 12-week programs. They're non-credit. That means that they don't cost you anything to take the course. You just have to sign up. They are, taking names down they are creating a waiting list. So, as soon as those programs become live, I know I'm going to take my participants and sign them up for the program, because not only are they embedding the essential skills, but they're providing employable skills. So that's what employers want. They want to see, not only essential skills, which is crucial, that's the baseline, right? But they also want to see what are your other employable skills, like, customer service, knowing some trade work, right? Plumbing, construction, OSHA regulations, things like that. Those are what a lot of the employers are looking for. And so I'm really excited about the Barstow Community College non-credit program that's, hopefully go live in fall.
Regarding that, we had a most recent question in the chat. Will the courses at BCC be offered online or in person? Jessica, sorry.
The trade technician program that I'm aware of is going to be like a hybrid program. So it's going to be both online and in person. So they're going to schedule it so that way they're, COVID compliant. So as far as I'm aware of you, so.
Okay, perfect. If you guys,
but the customer service non-credit, I believe it's 100% online.
Okay, wonderful. So that is a great opportunity for you guys that are wanting to improve your employable skills. And it is, like Jessica said, free. So if you want more information about that, throw your email to me and I will forward that on to my counterpart, which is works solely with Barstow Community College, and she'll get that information right out to you guys. Thank you, Jessica, for that recap on essential skills. All right, so keep the questions coming. I have been writing them down as fast as I could, so I appreciate that. I have one that says, I am a very shy person and a little uncomfortable working in large groups. How would you suggest I work on that? Do you hire shy people?
Absolutely, absolutely. Matter of fact, I can't tell you how many people in our program that we've had that have never had a job, totally shy. And once we work together as a team, that really, it's like a day and a different person after 12 weeks, really, once you get your feet wet, like you get, the Hinckley Workforce Development Program, if you, again, if you're interested, provide your information to the other Jessica. And so I'll get you the information to our program. We are constantly hiring people with zero work experience that just want to try it out, and just so they can, get something under their belt, some experience, So it's a great opportunity, and like I said, you really can't make a mistake, right? We know that everyone's new, no one's perfect, and that's who the program is meant for.
Jeff, Kevin?
Yeah, I would actually like to just add a little bit to that. So I myself was actually an incredibly shy individual in high school. I was a loner, for lack of a better term. I put my head down, went to class, and did my work, and then went to the next class. My group of friends was very, very small. In fact, they were only people that I knew growing up in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. What I had to do, though, to get out of that shyness, because it did affect me in my professional career, it held me back. I had to put myself into some pretty uncomfortable situations. I had to stretch myself in that sense. And so my advice to you is that if you're painfully shy and you know this, what you need to do is you need to set a goal for yourself to, and of course, during COVID, this is going to be difficult, but in non-COVID years, I guess you could say, set a goal for yourself to say hi to a certain amount of people during the day. Set a goal for yourself to do a presentation to a classroom of people, or find other groups that you can associate yourself with. Another thing I would suggest is when you walk down the hall in school or the store or whatever, do put your shoulders back and put your head up. Don't do like I did in high school and put your shoulders down and hunch over just like this. Stand up, stand tall, let the world know who you are, and show that confidence. I guess the best way to put it is fake it till you make it. Because when you do that, when you put that confidence out there, it starts to change your mindset a little bit, that perhaps you can actually say hi to somebody. And you never know what you might get in return when you say hi to that individual. I've met some really wonderful people over this, in my career, just by simply saying hello to people. Made some lasting friendships.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think high schoolers need to hear that. And for those of you guys, our industry leaders are very successful in their business and in their trade and in their communities. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna get to that one because there's like two of the same one. I'm gonna bring those together. So I'm sorry. Does it bother you if an employee asks too many questions?
The short answer on that is no. That's the short answer. Where the nuance comes in for everyone is, what is the question that you are asking? And are you asking the same question again and again and again? That comes to is the ability to take answers and apply them to what you're doing. It isn't the first time you ask a question. It isn't the second time you ask a question, if it's the same one either. And generally the third time, because you're trying, when you ask the question and you get an answer, now you're going to try something else and it still may not have worked, and that's okay. And then you do it a second time and a third time. It's, but asking questions, no. How do you take those answers and how do you apply them? That's what's looked at. That's what's important.
I want to just ask Natalie, if you could read the private message that I sent you. I sent you one up a little while ago. Can you give an example of critical thinking at your company?
Well, I will say we had an interview process for one of our positions, our avionics technicians, which is a highly technical skill. And these are individuals that are going to be working with the electronics of the aircraft, and they needed to be able to critically think through specific scenarios and things like that. And so what we did is we would actually put them through a work sample exercise. And this work sample exercise was designed to show us if they actually had the ability to critically think through a problem. Could they see steps 1, 2, and 3 and figure out what the problem was between 1, 2, and 3? So I guess that's probably about the most generic way I could explain it. You know, working in the retail industry, you know, having worked in 20 years with the public, critical thinking comes into play as simply by being able to assist a customer. You know, figuring out what that customer's problem is, and then figuring out how to make that individual happy. Sorry, the clock was going off behind me.
It's totally fine. Would any other industry? Okay.
So I work at Victorville Motors, and we have multiple hundreds of people who come through our store every single day. And exactly like Jeff said right at the end there about dealing with a customer, our entry level and even mid-level, everyone really, is dealing with 3, 4, 5, 6 things that are being asked of them at the exact same time. And the critical thinking comes in as in, how do you figure out how to prioritize, get them all done in the best way possible that satisfies what everybody needs to have done? And the easiest example I can give is one of our entry positions is a valet, probably the most important position in our entire store, our entire company, because it's the most direct interaction with our customers, with our guests. And so if you work in our service department and there are 3 people there who are picking up their vehicles, and you have 3 different vehicles that need to be brought up for the customers, which customer do you grab first? At the same time, you also need to clear vehicles that people are dropping off to make room to bring those cars up so people can get out. And that's on the valets. How do you do that correctly and at the same time without damaging anyone's vehicle? Because now you feel pressure. You feel pressure to move quickly. How do you stay calm inside of yourself, but still move with urgency so that the customers, the guests, feel that they are being attended to, but also know that their vehicle isn't going to get damaged? Oh, it's a fun day every day.
Very true. Imagine if they did get damaged, one customer probably not too happy. Jessica, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, so we deal with critical thinking on a daily basis on our products. It's so dynamic. So like, I'll give you an example. So in the background, my background picture, you'll see an irrigation system that we use for our crops on our fields. And so we had, this was years ago when, you know, there was a limited amount of products available. So we had to create a drag drip system, and there wasn't a product available, you know, at the store that we could pick up at Home Depot or Lowe's at the time. So, you know, so we had to find and attach from the sprinkler head some sort of hose that wouldn't break, that wouldn't damage the crop, that would be resistant to biological growth, which is like, you know, over time you put, you know, with water, you'll get like this green algae growth, right? So we had to find something that fit all these categories. And so we finally, again, with critical thinking skills, someone came up with the idea after trial and error, the inside liner of a fire hose. And so we end up going straight to the manufacturer and buying the wholesaler and just getting the inside liner of this hose and buying a bunch of it, cutting it up in pieces and attaching it to these nozzle, and it actually worked. It solved the issue.
And that was an employee?
That was an employee that just came out. Yeah, he just came out, you know, because we were troubleshooting. Again, this goes back to collaboration. We're, as a team, we're vetting these ideas. Everyone's talking about it. We're like, you know, let's try this, let's try that, right? And again, this is where collaboration, teamwork, and critical thinking skills all come in together.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Okay, what do you want an employee to do if we see something wrong being done by a different employee, like Miss Moreno's Billy story? I get that question. I would get that question. I wonder that too. That's a good one. I mean, these are great questions, guys. I appreciate it. But it's true, when you're at work and you see somebody doing something wrong, do you just look the other way?
No, we have a policy. You know, you see something, say something, do something. So we have that policy. You know, that we don't. We also have a non-retaliation policy as well too. So employees can confidentially bring that information forward, right? Because again, you know, we want everyone to be safe. You know, we want everyone to be honest. You know, things happen in life, and most of the time, you know, if they're not feeling well or there's things that come up with their kids, you know, if you communicate that honestly and ahead of time, and it's not, you know, on Fridays or Mondays, right? You know, because it's usually, you know, a habit that we look and track, right? So if, we typically, you know, we'll work with an employee.
Would anybody else like to add to that?
It is one of the most difficult questions to answer, and not for 18, 19, 20-year-olds, but for people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. As you get older, it's a little bit easier to answer. You are more knowledgeable and experienced and comfortable in who you are, in your work, in your skills. Either way, if you don't do anything, there will be ripple effect from it. If you do say something, there will be a ripple effect from that. And that's one of the hardest things for anyone to learn when it comes to work. No matter what you do, there will be a ripple effect. And really it comes down to simply what allows you to sleep best at night, and how do you want to be seen, and how do you want to see yourself on a daily basis? How are you comfortable with yourself so that you know you did the best that you could every single day?
Yeah, especially with safety, right? So if you see someone that's skirting the rules, doing something unsafe that is going to injure or hurt themselves or another employee, right? You need to speak forward, right? And there's ways around it, right? So you can speak with your manager and say, hey, look, what can we do to bring this to light? So that way we can improve our safety process and procedures, right? Without maybe singling out an employee, right? And maybe maybe you're the one that brings it up and say, you know what, I want to do a compliance inspection, right? And let's do it as a team, right? And have the whole team involved in that compliance inspection or audit, you know, so that way it doesn't single anyone out. That's another way, just
That's
to think
awesome.
about it.
Thank you for your honesty in that, Kevin, because it's true. And Jessica, I appreciate that. And I love that you brought that safety piece up. Jeff, you want to add?
Yeah, just a little bit. So I work in the aviation industry, and somebody not doing the right thing can put people's lives at risk. And it not even though we manufacture unmanned aerial vehicles or remotely piloted aircraft, whichever way you want to look at it, if that aircraft is not fully functional and it goes up into the air and it's unable to complete its mission, there's a chance that somebody's life could be in jeopardy at that point. And so one of the big things as far as we're concerned is integrity. And if you see somebody doing the wrong thing or not doing the right thing, however which way you want to put it, there's two things that's required of us as employees. Number one, addressing that situation right then and there with that individual and figuring out what's going on. And then number two, after that, speaking to the managers that are responsible for that particular individual. And the reason for that is because, like I said a moment ago, people's lives are at stake. You know, if you look at the different things that have gone down over the years with regards to people that have lost their lives from aviation accidents and things like that, quite often it results into operator error, we'll put it that way. And so that's a crucial thing for us.
I appreciate that. And again, I would always say, if you feel uncomfortable speaking directly to somebody, make sure you speak to your managers, because I know they have a sense of confidentiality that needs to be did there as well. So I definitely appreciate the insight on that. And more importantly, I really appreciate that question. You guys are awesome. Okay, so this one, there are a couple of different kids that have asked it this question, so I'm kind of going to bring them together. Does your company really look at our social media? What are you specifically looking for on a person's social media when you do look at it?
As a recruiter, I'll jump right on this one. I'll say absolutely, we look at your social media. 100%. It is public knowledge because you put it out there. And I will tell you that I've had situations where I've had candidates and I've looked at the, you know, just as Jessica said earlier, I think it was Jessica said earlier, a simple Google search, or somebody said that earlier. It takes me all of about 2 seconds to do that. And it pulls up all that information. And believe me, I have not selected people based off of what I have seen. So absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't take much to do that search. I also look at, you know, do they have a LinkedIn account? Mm-hmm. You know, so, you know, a LinkedIn account kind of is more of like a professional social media account per se, but it's more focused towards finding employment, searching for jobs. And so if they're on LinkedIn, I'll look at their, you know, profile and their history, but I'll look at other stuff too, their Twitter accounts. What are they liking, right? You know, if they're liking things that are inappropriate, you know, do I want to bring that to my workforce? Do I want to bring that type of environment to my team? So, you know, is this going to help my team or, you know, affect my team in a negative way, like kind of like having a bad apple? You know, I would much rather not hire a bad apple to ruin the rest of the good people on my team.
I have a real world happening right now scenario to answer all you guys. So Victorville Motors is in the process of bringing on a second IT person to help manage our systems. And we put an ad out on Indeed, and for about 6-7 days, we got over 70 applications. Whittle it down to 10 finalists that we wanted to talk to, that we thought we wanted to talk to based off of what was on paper. We then went and looked at their social media and eliminated 4 people immediately. And now we are doing the phone calls, the phone interviews with the final 6 people to bring the top 3 in next week. What are we looking for specifically? You have to remember, part of this is not just about you and the person who's doing the hiring. It's also, when you come on board, you're representing an entire company. You're representing everyone who works there. You are now associated to them, and they are now associated to you. And it's about, exactly like Jessica was saying, a bad apple. It's about putting the right team together, the right people, the right personalities, having a cross section. So you have to have different viewpoints and different personalities, especially in my business, where our entire business is built off of relationships, getting people to purchase things. But if we can't connect with someone, then it makes it much more difficult. So yes, your social media is being looked at, and the unfortunate part is you can't say specifically, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, you'll be it's not like that. You still need to be you, and that's what I want to see. But it really comes down to, if you guys know anything about social media, for the most part, you can post things public. You can also post things private. And What are you showing to everybody versus what you're showing to your friends and family? Hopefully those two people are the same within you, within everybody. But if they aren't, do you know how to do that correctly? And then just one last story, and I apologize. Another real world scenario when it comes to this, once you get the job, how do you stay with the job? So we had a 19-year-old young lady who started working with us about 4 months ago, back in November. We were her second job. Her first job was at Taco Bell. And I love hiring people who work fast food. I did it when I was young, and there's so many skills that you learn. When she came to work for us, it was a different job, a different pace that she wasn't used to. And so after a couple weeks, I sat down with her, me and her manager, we sat down and we had a conversation with her about what she was not doing the best at, and specifically how she could get better, different steps to talk about it. And it was a very emotional conversation for her, because rather than seeing it as helping her to become better and grow, she took it as criticism. And in talking with her, she had never had a conversation like that before when it came to work and an employer, or even anyone else she had ever worked with. And so we are very understanding of new workers, new to the workforce. It takes time to learn how to work. But the biggest part of that conversation was, you need to take what we're talking about and now apply it and get better on these very specific things going forward. A month later, we had another meeting because she hadn't gotten better. She hadn't taken what we talked about and applied it to what she was doing every day. And it was very specific what we were talking about. And now it became a warning. First one was a counseling, second time became a warning. We had a third meeting back in February, and it was, okay, we're being serious now. We've been serious this whole time, but this is now serious. Your job could be affected by this. Please understand, please hear what we're saying. Do these very specific things. And about a week and a half ago, we called this person, this lady, this young woman up, and we had to let her go. And not because she wasn't a nice person, not because she wasn't smart, not because she didn't want to do better, but because she wasn't able to. She wasn't able to apply the things that we had talked about. When you talk about the 6 keys that Mrs. Moreno talked about, one of the ones that I thought that was missing was the ability to apply the information to what you do. Being coachable, taking that information in and then applying it and getting better. You're not going to be a success, an executive overnight. It's about taking those small steps. And everyone that you're seeing on here has been in your shoes before. We've all started there at some point. And it's, what do you do along the way? How do you find a coach, a mentor? How do you find something that you connect to that's not going to get you all the way to your career choice or where you're going to be for the rest of your life, but it's going to get you that next step, who's going to just help you get better from step A to step B, then B to C, and C to D. And that's all it is every single day. How do you find the people who you connect with, who you can look at and say, I like what they do, and I want to be able to do it the way they do it, and ask them questions. Once you get the job, that's how you keep the job. And that's how you promote, that's how you get better, and it's how you put yourself in a position for additional opportunities. Sorry about that, Jessica.
No, I love that. I played college volleyball, and I used to have a coach that I used to think was the meanest person ever. And one time they said, don't be mad at me for telling you what you need to do better. Be worried when I stop talking to you, because now they're done. They don't care. He didn't care anymore. And so I was like, all the years, I never heard that before. And so that's so true. You guys, when they're coming to you saying, hey, I'd really like you to do this better, it's because you are an investment in their business and in their company and what helps that company grow. So the way you look at constructive criticism is very important. So thank you for sharing that. I very much appreciate that. And then as I coach volleyball, I constantly tell kids that too. I always have to tell parents that sometimes, which is odd. There was a question, I think it was Jessica, but I'm not sure. And then Ms. Moreno, I think you talked about it too, but if something breaks while I'm using it at work, can I get in trouble?
No, we have that happen all the time on our site. There's things that break, we try to have like a preventive program on our tools, so to prevent it from breaking. But typically if something breaks and you come forward with it, or you accidentally step on a PVC pipe and you break it, that happens, probably a little bit more often than, so it's, usually it's small things like that. People come forward and say, hey, I broke this by accident. I accidentally stepped on it, the piece of material that they're about to use. They, we learn from them, we talk about it, and then we talk, we learn from that mistake. But typically they don't get in trouble unless they hide it. That's when it becomes an issue. If they try to, yes, it's better to be honest. If you sweep it under the rug and then eventually we'll find out later, then that makes it a way bigger issue. Now I can't trust you. If I can't trust you on a small thing, there's no way I'm going to trust you on bigger projects.
The one caveat I'll put to that, and you're absolutely right, Jessica, is don't ever hide it. If you break something on accident, it broke, and then it's just a matter of getting it fixed. But if you happen to break something because you were goofing off or doing something that you shouldn't have been doing, that could be a different story at that point. Mm-hmm. That, yes, you can get yourself into trouble for that. And so that again, if maybe you're looking at your phone and you happen to run into something because you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing. Again, goes back to some of the stuff that Ms. Moreno's presentation. Put your phone away, pay attention, be fully in the moment. Accidents do happen and we do get that, but circumstances are important.
You'll always, no matter where you work, there will be mistakes, things will break, you will break them. If you think you won't, you're not, it happens. Where I work, people, it's trucks, it's cars, it's $10,000, $15,000, $80,000, $90,000 vehicles that people are driving around each other. And there's people walking and there's sharp corners. People hit cars at where I work. Do they get in trouble? Depends. What were they doing when it happened?
Yeah.
If invariably it happens, we tell every single person who starts with us, you drive enough vehicles, you will hit a vehicle. The vehicle will hit another vehicle, you'll hit a wall, you'll hit a pole, you'll hit something, it will happen. What were you doing?
Tell my husband that. I'm gonna tell my husband that.
real world situation. He's 19 years old. He started working for us about 2 months ago, 3 weeks ago. He was driving a truck and he backed it up into a pole and caused much damage, very expensive damage. He got in trouble, yes, and he got in trouble because he specifically had a conversation actually 2 days prior to that, and had signed a document that he was not to drive trucks for 90 days. Because we know in our history, it's easier to drive small cars, to get comfortable with them. Trucks are a different thing. So did he get in trouble? Yes. Did he lose his job? No. And that's another thing you guys have to understand is when you say trouble, what does that mean? Are you going to lose your job over it? Or are you simply going to get a reprimand to get better? And that's what he got.
Yep.
Well said. Well said. What are excusable reasons to call off of work and suggested timeframes?
It depends.
I was going to say, are we talking COVID or are we talking anything beyond that? There's a lot of circumstances on that.
The easy answer is as soon as you know. That's the timing. As soon as you believe you will not be at work, let work know. Depending on what your job is, other people may be relying upon you. You may need to be replaced, so that the more available time to find someone to take your shift, the better. And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes last things happen. I'm gonna sound harsh right now. In a perfect world, you'll never call out. In a perfect world, none of us will ever call out unexpectedly. It's because we've planned something, we knew something was coming up, and we put the request in, and we can adjust for it, and that's all good and dandy. Does life happen? Absolutely. And the more you work, the better you work, the more committed you are to work as far as your work ethic, your urgency at work, how well you work, how committed you are at work when you're at work, easier it is to make accommodations for when life happens. Most places will make accommodations it's just life. It happens. But the sooner you know, the sooner you let your employer know, the easier and the better it is.
Pulling from my days in human resources, we used to have a term called pattern of reliability. If you can establish yourself as having a good pattern of being reliable, and they can rely upon you, if something should come up, like what Kevin said a minute ago, life happens, and things do happen from time to time. But if you have a good, solid reputation as being somebody who is dependable, when those life issues do happen, you're not going to have a problem. But if you have like what Jessica said a moment ago, if you got a pattern of calling out every Monday, well, then you're going to get into trouble at that point. So that pattern of reliability is the piece to look at.
I'm borrowing that phrase, Jeff.
Go right ahead.
See, learning goes both ways. There you go. All right, this is our last question. How do you prioritize your tasks when you have multiple deadlines to meet?
I like taking this. It just depends, right? So I like taking the stuff. If it's going to take me, 10 minutes or less, I'll just knock them off in the morning. And if I need quiet time for creative work, right? I know I do better in the morning, so I clear out my schedule, right, for the morning time to be more creative. For less creative activities, non-deadline oriented activities, I'll push those towards the end of the day. Callbacks, I try not to look at my cell phone, social media, like I put that away, if I'm in my creative time or if I'm on a deadline that I can't miss. So, so there's little habits that I do that kind of help me go through the work day.
I like that you said that. I've read a lot of books about, they call it their creative time, and it's always in the morning.
Yes.
Very true. Very true. Anyone else like to add to that?
Good.
Yeah. I learned how to when you have multiple tasks with multiple deadlines, how to time management. I learned by messing up at it and failing at it. That's how I learned how to do it. I've had today, when the presentation started, I was off screen because I had to finalize my orders. I just got done ordering $3 million worth of inventory of vehicles to land at our store in June. And so you're looking that far out. And so I had multiple commitments with you guys. And then 3 days ago, we learned that today at the same time was the ordering window. So how do you balance both of those? How do you put those together? And so that you figure it out, you learn how to do it by making mistakes and learning from them. That's how you do it.
Very true.
Another trick that I have learned on that one is whenever my boss gives me a task, I always ask, what's the timeline on this? What do we need? Is this something you needed yesterday, or is this something I got a little bit of time on? And then prioritize from there. I work second shift now, and a great deal of our business occurs on first shift. And so quite often I'll come in usually about 12:30, and my inbox is, 200-300 emails. What I'll do is I will skim through them. Of course, I'll get rid of the garbage, but skim through them and see, okay, what's priority? What are the things that are pressing that have to be dealt with? And then I'll prioritize from there. Another trick that I'll do is, and this is something that just a habit I've gotten myself into, is that every night, as I'm wrapping things up, as I'm kind of closing up for the day, I'll make myself a list of things that need to be done the next day. And quite often that list is stuff that I know, okay, I've prepared myself for the next day. I now have this list. I will tell you what they say is in the military is never fall in love with your plan, because that's my plan, but that's probably not going to go that way. But at least I have a plan, and then I adjust based off of what comes down the pipeline from the 200-300 emails that came in during the day. So
just to add on that, guys, I agree with Jeff. Every night, once I leave work, I open up my phone, and it's the notes app on my phone. And as things come in my head, I just add it to that note list, and I just add to it because it gets it out of my head. So I'm not thinking about it. And when I get to work each morning, the first thing I do is I print that list. These are all the things I thought about. So I know and then what I need to do. And I go through and I start to number them. It's basically a 1, 2, 3 system. 1 that happened today. 2 would be great if it got done today. 3, if it doesn't get done today, it's not the end of the world. And so that's one of my systems.
I'm a huge list person. I'm a huge.
That's Franklin Covey's method, right, Kevin? Yep.
Yep. 1, 2, 3.
I learned it from.
Perfect.
I agree with Jeff and Kevin on the list system. I have like a top 3 list. And so at the end of the day, I'll make just a top 3 list, just 3 things that I need to accomplish the next morning or the next day that will make me feel better, right? And it could be work related, it could be personal related, but just 3 things. Like these 3 things have to get done. It's a little bit low tech. A yellow sticky note. I write it down right before I go to bed, and I put it on my cell phone because it's the first thing that you see. Now I know, okay, that those are the 3 things I have, and once I get those 3, I feel good for the rest of the day. No matter what happens, I at least got those 3.
I also do the list too, because then I'm not worried about forgetting that I have to do something. So even I have a notepad next to my makeup station in the morning because I'm doing my makeup and I'm like, oh, I gotta do this. Or by my books when I'm reading, something comes to me. I have notepads and sticky pads everywhere. And then I bring them all to my desk and I bring them together. But I wanted to share in wrap up on the Fred Factor. I did love this book. I loved it with my students. I love it personally. There's a number of different quotes in there, but I wanted to close with, there's no insignificant or ordinary jobs when they are performed by significant and extraordinary people. So I want to applaud each one of you guys for being here today and your travels to being an extraordinary employee. So students, if you are interested in attending any of our other future industry specific web chats, please check our MDCP website because we do have some coming up. We'll be having one in the medical industry very soon. And if you're interested in hearing from industry specialists in the medical field, that's where to go. I just want to thank Ms. Moreno, Jessica, Jeff, Kevin, for all of your contributions today and for the past 3 web chats. They've been fantastic. The tools and suggestions that you guys have given kids and the numerous kids that are going to watch this recording and get is amazing. It's truly appreciated. We thank you so much. Students, thank you for joining us and good luck in your future endeavors. Oh, I'll put the web chat in. I'll put the email to the Alexis, I'm putting it in the chat right now. And then you can look for those under student. Oops, I sent it privately to the wrong person. If you go to our website, it's mdcareerpathways.com and it's under student, and you can see any web chats that we have, past recordings that we have. Thank you for asking. I apologize that I didn't share that.